So far, a red day for Bitcoin. I wasn't going to do a midday update, but I thought it was kind of an important time to do this update, especially as we're under 24 hours before a really big data release comes out tomorrow morning at 8:30, and I want to discuss that and how that plays into this chart. We're going to look at the chart. Obviously, we have a couple targets that we're going to monitor, but in this video, I want to go over two really key things, two key dates that are going to move Bitcoin to one of these targets either way in the short term, really. So hit that like, hit that subscribe for me, and let's do it. So when we see the nice consolidation pattern that we've been tracking, it's obviously we've seen Bitcoin break to the downside. There's two targets right now in play. It is this lower trend line, right? We've discussed the pullback scenario that we often get in Bitcoin. It's still very much in play. So a pullback to that area will be something that we monitor. In particular, will there be resistance there, or will Bitcoin break back into the trend? And then the downside, it's a $19,000 to $20,000 target to the downside for Bitcoin to complete this consolidation pattern target to the downside. So one of those two things is really going to happen next. The question is which one, and maybe the bigger question would be what is going to kind of incline Bitcoin to move in either of those directions. And it's very, very simple. Number one is in less than 24 hours, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. is this, March 10th, 8:30 a.m. It's job stats, it's labor statistics coming out. This is such a big deal. And to give context to why, there's this article. It just says January's jobs report delivered a heck of a surprise when it showed the U.S. economy had added more than 500,000 jobs and unemployment had dipped to a level not seen in more than 5 decades. Some people might say, well, why is that a bad thing? Well, it just shows that these raising interest rates and everything the Fed is doing in order to cool inflation and to cool the economy, it's not working as quickly as everybody wants, right? A big factor to see that things are working is obviously if unemployment is kind of going up, people are losing their jobs. It's not something that is good. It's not something we want to see, but it's a reflection of, hey, the rising interest rates are starting to work. And when we're seeing unemployment actually dipping, the opposite is true. So therefore, we see the Fed get more aggressive in their interest rate hikes. And therefore, we see S&P 500, stock market, Bitcoin, risk on assets start falling with that fear in mind. So if we get a second Strong's jobs report on Friday, tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., it's no longer an anomaly. I think anything in excess of 230 to 250,000 job gains is going to be interpreted as a sign that the labor market is a lot more immune to higher lending costs than anyone anticipated, and therefore we could see Jerome Powell getting very aggressive, very hawkish, and that is what likely, if this happens tomorrow, we could really see Bitcoin fall fast to a target, right? Meaning no pullback even in play. Now, leading into that time, we still have, obviously, it's less than 12 hours less than 24 hours. It's around 20 hours away. Maybe Bitcoin does a pullback before then. Maybe the resistance is off of the news, right? So we have to keep these things in mind. There's a big headline coming out tomorrow. So what happens with that data release? Maybe Bitcoin hits the target to the downside. The next big thing that is going to play into, now we start talking about really the macro chart, the next move for Bitcoin will likely be what happens on March 14th. We talked about this. This is CPI data coming out. I tweeted yesterday that there's a strong possibility, I think, that CPI data is going to be more positive than I think many are anticipating. And if that is the case, we might see a very strong reaction in terms of traditional markets, in terms of Bitcoin, especially if there is going to be some pain in the next few days, especially if the data tomorrow is negative, right? Now, if Bitcoin continues to that target to the downside and goes into the oversold environment on the RSI, it could be the perfect setup for maybe good CPI data next week and the bounce. The next, momentum move to the upside for Bitcoin in play if that happens. Want to note something as we're talking about all this. The potential pullback scenario could happen as early as within the next 24 hours, this move, even into the trend line. If the February jobs data comes out, and we'll find out tomorrow, obviously, 8:30 a.m., but if this comes out looking more in line with what the Fed wants to see, markets could react positively to this. And if that happens, and CPI data is, inflation comes down. We see next week, March 14th, when that gets released. That's positive. If we have a double positive thing happening between tomorrow and March 14th, Bitcoin really could see a really nice big bounce, a green move back into this uptrend, right? So right now it's kind of just looking which target it's going to hit. We have the target to the downside. We have the pullback scenario to the upside. These are two things I'm watching, but really in the shorter term, what really matters is this first headline. What is this going to be tomorrow? And we will see, right? Anything in excess of 230 to 250, says this analyst, job gains is going to be interpreted as a sign that the labor market is a lot more immune to higher lending costs. So we don't want to see an excess of 230 to 250, says Terrazas, and I'm thinking that's how you pronounce the name. But we'll see what happens. I just wanted to do this quick update video as we monitor this move for Bitcoin, because we did break the trend line. Bitcoin's in red right now, but there's a lot more going on to the story that I think we need to remain patient for. And so we're going to just continue tracking this. Right now, Bitcoin's on its way from a just strictly technical analysis perspective to its target, and we just have to monitor, remain patient, and see what happens next. Let me know how you're doing out there, everybody. I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe for me, hit that like, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.